Oh, y'all thought just because we did a Prime interview that I wasn't gonna pull up? Come on now, come on, fellas. You already know what the boy G Bush do, man. We right back to work. We right back on the grind. Man, you already know what it is, man. Shout out to the Ultimate Brown. Shout out to UCSS. We feed the streets no matter where you at. Whether it's the barbershop, whether it's Ultimate Browns, we still holding it down and we giving the streets and the people what they need. We got to talk today. I'm going to give y'all that behind the scenes look. I'm going to tell you how the interview came about. I'm going to tell you a lot of things. Coach Prime pulled up on a barbershop again. Thanks, Coach Prime, for doing pulling up and being a real one. And we had a lot of things to talk about, man. This is actually the first time I'm talking about it since the interview dropped. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out on the barbershop. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to UCSS. As always, you know what we do. But I'm going to give y'all that behind the scenes look. I'm going to give you the perception versus reality from the way I see it. And I'm going to tell you the biggest takeaway from the interview and why people should be very encouraged with the Cleveland Browns. We'll come back and do that right here on the fastest 30 minutes of sports. It's your boy G Bush and the Ultimate Browns. Welcome on in. It's your boy G Bush right back at you with another one. I in my DJ Khaled voice, another one. We got some stuff to talk about. If you haven't noticed, streets is going crazy. We had the Coach Prime exclusive on the barbershop. Shout out to Coach Prime. By the way, I just want to say that he was candid. He was open. He was honest. He gave me his thoughts. And I want to thank him for giving me the opportunity to do it. I always said it's a big up to independent media. I'm a big proponent of independent media. I'm a big proponent of YouTube. What I would call a YouTube baby. I came up on YouTube at the very beginning in the 08s, 09s, 2010s. And for what is done, it gives you an opportunity to talk directly to your people. No middleman. You talk directly to your people. And I think YouTube, to me, is one of the most honest content that you can get, because there is no corporate backing. There is no a bunch of other stuff. It's you, a microphone, and people that can resonate with you. And you could build a fan base. And for me, a person that came from the communications degree from Ohio University, a marketing degree from Ohio University. I have a broadcasting degree from the Ohio Media School. So when it comes to the education level and the things that I love about this industry and whether it's radio, any content, I just love what it represents. So for me to be able to land that interview isn't just for me. It's for all independent content. It's all for all the people who are out there who is just, have passion for telling stories and have passions for the truth and have passions for, cultivating and being able to do a grassroots effort with their people. This is what I love to do. So that for all the independent media guys out there, for all the guys that, all of the people who do it on YouTube, whether that's Quincy Carriers, whether that's the FB Teams, whether that's Simply Ball Dropping, whether that's Keep the Vision, wherever you at. In the midst of this, and I don't want to mention people's names, but it's for all those people, the Sean Kings, the Darren Smiths, and the UCSSs, and even the Mikey McNuggets, and all these people that cultivate content on the internet. It's not a win for G Bush and the Barb. It's a win for independent content and media, because it shows you that where this industry can take you and where it can go. In the future of what it is to be a storyteller. And that's what I craft myself as, a storyteller. So with that being said, let's get off into this interview. I look at this thing, and first and foremost, people say, how did this come about? And I said, well, wasn't like, in anything that I do, I don't go out and I don't solicit. The back channels and conversations, happen, and he reached out, and it was spur of the moment. I didn't know. He was like, yo, reached out to me, said, hey, do an interview. And so I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and do it. And the one thing I will give you about, and kind of Coach Prime in general, he's a straight talker. He's straight talk with you. Keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? He's legit, honest, down to earth. And the one thing that came across to me that hit me so differently was, you know, he is aware of Shedeur's game just like we are. So the thing that I found refreshing was we sat there and we talked for a long time about just football and about some of the things that Shedeur needs to do better, about some of the things that, you know, he's about his game. And that's one of the main things that I came away with was, you know, he came and he immediately went to the football. And I think that's the reason why, you know, the conversation that I had with him kind of off camera was almost better than the conversation I had him with him. Because when you get a guy like that, well, first and foremost, before it's even Shedeur or whatever, you got a guy like that to be able to have an opportunity to talk to a guy, a savant like that when it comes to the football. And like I always said, it leads with the football. He leads with the football. He breathes the football. When I talked to him, I mean, he was like, I almost wanted to get a pen and pad. I was like, man, it was just refreshing talking football at that level. So, you know, anytime you can get a legend to you talking football, I think that was one of the things that came away with me to hit me a little differently, because that's what he leads with. He leads with that, and he's aware of the shortcomings of Shedeur Sanders' game just as well as people like me or anybody else. So there's a thought process that maybe he thinks that Shedeur is infallible or doesn't know, you know, where he needs to improve. That is incorrect. So I'm going to get to a couple other different things here. I'm going to play a couple clips just to kind of set the tone. We'll be going in and out a little bit, telling you some different things. And I just want to give y'all an insight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not so much of, oh, I got something to say. I'm just giving you some insight and some game into how it went down and some of the takeaways that I thought about. This one right here, I think he's talking about the silver spoon metaphor, right? The silver spoon metaphor. There's a lot of people who believe that Shedeur Sanders grew up with a silver spoon. I think this is it. Let's see. One final thing before we get out of here. Nope, that ain't it. Let's do this one.
Like he and Shallow and my daughter. Bossy played quarterback too.
Coach, when you talk about, you know, his faith in that growing, because I think a lot of people in Cleveland are still trying to separate the headlines and the social media image from who Shedeur is exactly as a man and a teammate. So a lot of people see the confidence. They see the jewelry. They see the spotlight.
Why wouldn't you see that? You were birthed from that. Like, this is what we do. It's not that we're trying to show out a showboat. This is how it was. Like, if you pull up videos when he was 12 and 10, it was that. Like, that's where we come from. That's how he was exposed, and that's what it was for him. So that was like a badge of honor when he could rope up or chain up or link up. Then he turned to gold to diamonds. Like that, that's where we come from, man. So you can't fault a man for understanding where he came from. And that was the come up. That in our neighborhood, in our inner city, see, you getting caught up in thinking how he grew up. He didn't grow up with no silver spoon. He didn't grow up with no credit cards. You know, I took him to the other side of town, man. He grew up in South Dallas. Yeah, he grew up playing ball against us. like he and Shallow and my daughter. Bossy played quarterback too. So we grew up on the other side. I took them to the other side so they could have that ingredient in them. When times got rough like they did, they would know how to respond.
Man, let me tell you something. Man, oh man, listen, that when he said that, it was crazy because it was almost like I had lived it. It's like, you know, I always talk to people about cultural competency, right? And understanding cultural differences between different groups of people. And I've always thought that sometimes when you do have people and there's a slant, there's an idea that the people that are covering the game are the majority of them come from different backgrounds, different economic situations, different family structures, different everything. When you are covering those people, when you're covering another group of people in terms of, you know, writing and doing what you need to do, sometimes you have blind spots. The blind spots don't need to be in terms of malicious or you just writing with a slant. It could come from ignorance, not knowing. And one of the things that I take from what Coach Prime said is, you know, in the African American community, he's correct. That is for us, a chain is our badge of honor. A chain is a necklace is for us the status symbol of saying I'm moving up. For us, we love gym shoes. Listen, our culture, we come from kings. We come from we have, and that's our soul. When we soulful, we sing soul music. When you go to a Southern Baptist church, you have no choice but to get on your feet if you go to church. That's what soul music is. When you go to that restaurant in the South and they got the collard greens and the cornbread, that is soul food. When you eat it, it make you feel different. You know, you could tell the love was poured into it. When you talk about your grandfathers and your grandparents and those matriarchs and patriarchs that we listen, those individuals, those people are like they are everything. They are our medicine people. They can pull something out of the ground and tell you that's good for a rash, that's good for a cough, this is good for a cold. They did the most with the least. By the way, that's not indigenous to just black people. You get white people, Asian people. Go back and look at the elders. But there was a reverence for that. And flash does not mean the lack of substance. Flash just means that's my inward how I feel showing on the outside. Why wouldn't you want to shine? Don't you want to look your best when you go down the aisle, you get married? Don't you want your kids to look the best the first day of school? Don't you want the best when it comes to going to that interview? So why would you be confused about that? I also resonated with this because when I was coming up, my father, we grew up on a majoritarily white part of town. And when I was younger coming up, I could have been a foreign exchange student. I could have went to Europe. It was a program for quote unquote gifted inner city kids. And I could have went and been a student and moved and went away. But my mom and dad, I want to thank them, said, no, we ain't going to do it. We can't do it. You know why we can't do it? Because we don't think you understand your people enough. I said, what? What you mean don't understand my people enough? They realized that, yes, as a African-American and a young black kid, I was going to grow up in a world that maybe people not really didn't believe or know what our culture was. But before I indoctrinated myself and came to that realization, they said, we want you to know who your people are. And so I stayed. I went to public school, could have went to parochial school, could have went to boarding schools, could have went to do things and put me on the track record to go to maybe Ivy League schools, got really great grades in McKinley. But you know what they did? They knew and they understood that you need to be culturally competent. You need to know how to move in a world that don't look like you, but be comfortable with people who are exactly like you. And that's something nobody understands and knows unless you've been there. Unless you've been there. So that's why I always say diversity counts, because you need to learn to move in both places. And this, by good sir, is where it leads us to the next conversation. When we get back, we'll talk about what the perception versus the reality was. And what do I take away from it? We'll come back and tell you what I'm talking about right here on the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. Your boy G Bush with the Ultimate Browns. Yep, the Cleveland Cavaliers is cooking. Make sure you're checking out the Ultimate Cavaliers. My man Mikey McNuggets, every single game, he's doing the post game. Cavs got a game tonight. They have an opportunity to close it out at home against the Detroit Pistons. Make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you're watching that tonight. After the Cavs game, rain, sleet, snow, win or lose, Mikey McNuggets will hold it down. Make sure you check out him and Jason Lloyd throughout the week on the Ultimate Browns. Or excuse me, Ultimate Cavs. Yeah, you got it. We back on this is the Ultimate Brown. They on Ultimate Caps. Let's get back to it, man. I want to play this clip really quickly. From some of the takeaways that I had for the conversation with Coach Prime. I want to talk about that a little bit. And give you a little insight. I think this is the one. Is that the new one? Hold on, let me try this one. And make sure we're right. Spoke earlier about the competition level and there's a perception that from somebody looking in that to some, Shedeur Sanders has lived a cushy life, has lived a life of luxury. But you spoke on the fact that you specifically, you went to where the competition was at when he was growing up. Do you think that's a big part?
Look at the court sugarcoating that thing, man. We went to the hood.
That's why I love Pride. He said, no. We went to the hood. Yeah. I knew I was rich. I knew I was Coach Prime. Nah, but we wanted to go where they was hungry at. We wanted to go where the dogs was at. We wanted to go to the places and play against teams and people and places and individuals that the only way they was getting up out of where they was getting at was on that football field. That's a different type of urgency. That's a different type of mentality. That's a different type of, I got to go get it. So in terms of understanding how you need to go about that, I felt Coach Prime did the exact same things my dad did. When I played, he said, nah, man, you playing over, we was on the northwest side. Everybody know what's up. Shout out to Canton. I was on the northeast. I was on the northwest side. He said, no. Yeah, we're going to go down to the Southeast Community Center. Southeast Community Center, look right at the projects. We created a team in the projects. He came down there and he was like, yeah, we're going to make sure you get that competition. We can make sure you're going to get that smoke. I said, oh, man, I can almost feel it. Because what happens is when you start going to different sides of the town, let me know if you tripping. Let me know if I'm tripping. Maybe somebody done played some sports in the inner city somewhere. Maybe somebody done played a little basketball, maybe a little football, maybe a little baseball somewhere, and you just feel like you know what we talking about. You know what a competition is. If you want to be stamped anywhere in the community, if you want to be stamped as that guy, if you want to be stamped as a dude that's going to get buckets, that is the best in the city, you got to go to the hood. There's no, hey, listen. When I came up, wasn't no travel ball. We didn't do no travel ball. You know what your travel ball was? You get in, you go right over to the projects. We didn't, hey, listen, we did all that. Listen, AAU, we about to stamp you over here. We doing the elite combine over here. Nah, bro, you take yourself, you get your kicks, and you go to the hood. We're going to find out who the best is today. And when you get there, it's a different energy. You like, dang, am I safe over here? Not really, but let's get it. See, man, I be getting excited like I'm about to go back and play. Because they look at you from the other side of the town. They said, oh, G. Bush over there, he got like 10 white dudes on the team and him. I'm like, oh, no, don't worry about that. I'm still going to get mine over here. Oh, don't think you can just bump me like that. I'm finishing and one over here. Euro step and one. Play with me, bro. I'm get buckets anywhere. Go ahead, Prime. That Prime get you hype, bro. Prime will get you hype, man. Hit the like button on this. Stop hating. Hit the like button. There it is.
We went to the hood. We went to the hood. We went to go get it. We had to compete. They had to be tough. They had to be good with them things too if somebody wanted to try them. So that's where we went. And you can ask anybody in DFW, anybody around the country, because we went and played everybody. We wanted all the smoke all around the country. So, you know, when we went to the Hall of Fame, we took 7 busloads of kids, man. We stopped in Louisville. We stopped in Memphis first and got with it. We stopped in Louisville next and got with it, and went to Canton and got with it. So we have been everywhere. Everybody know a truth in how we came up and how we came out. So we ain't backing down from that, man. He ain't had no silver spoon. He had access to platinum spoons, but we didn't use them.
Wow. That's the thing that a lot of people love is the fact that if you're an athlete and you're a former athlete, only thing you want is the opportunity. And I tell people all the time, I say, you know, I think you guys get it wrong or don't want nothing given to him. Every athlete wants to get out there, throw for throw, check for check, and see who's going to get it. And I think a lot of people, because of the name, I think they forget that he was really about that life and really did it from going to Jackson State to Colorado.
They looking at the name, my brother. They forget about the game. What about the game? Because the name wouldn't be the name without the game. I wouldn't be sitting in front of you articulating the way I'm articulating if I didn't have that game. You know, you got to have the game, and that's what's wrong with college sports right now. Everybody want the NIL. Everybody want that. I don't even know why they call it NIL. There ain't no name, image, and like you barely see anybody on TV or endorsing anything. Really, we just give them the money. All right,
there it is.
All right, but some of them want it before the game matches it. The game ain't matching the name. Come on, man, and we don't want it. Like we don't want endorsements, right? We don't want that. Come on, let's get our game together. Let's get straight. Then we'll accept that kind of stuff. But the thing about it, man, you can't all of a sudden get to Cleveland and flip the script. Like the young man that he is, the stuff that you see him in the community, in the hood, giving and living and loving, that's who he is. So you think all of a sudden that changed after the draft? No, man, that's who he's been.
Man, listen, you say what you want. Say what you want about Prime. He be keeping it a buck. He be keeping it a buck. That's what I like the most about this interview, because he wasn't tiptoeing around nothing. He kept it 1,000. He said, "Listen, man, people talk about NIL. I deal with NIL. People just want. Ain't nobody on TV like that. They just want the money. I ain't got no problem with giving the money, but you got to have a game to back it up. What's up with your game? Like, it's about the game on the field." We had a great conversation about competition. He said, that's where we come from. Nothing but competition. He also said, man, look, he was funny. He was like, bro, one of the quotes he was like, man, I asked him, I said, man, you know, the Browns I was setting a question up about the quarterbacks. And they said, man, you know, the Browns, you know, they've been starved for a quarterback. And we done been through a lot of them. And he said, but you had one, though. I said, dang, what Prime? Like, what Prime going with this one? He's like, you had a quarterback. Mm-hmm. You won. You got him up out of there way too quick. I'm a big Baker fan. I said, oh. I still like Baker. I said, man, this guy, Coach Prime is man, I expect him to come with these. I'm a Baker fan. I love what he do. I love just the way he go about it. I'm a real, y'all listen, y'all had a quarterback. You had some things around them. Talk about Jarvis Landry, talking about, oh, you had some dogs. I said, Coach Prime, what you saying? You trying to throw shots? You trying to say that they fumbled the bag? I've been said it. Been said that weeks ago. Don't get it started. I said this night. Coach Prime didn't say I said it. I said, man, come on, man. You had Prime, Nick Chubb, Prime David Njoku, top 3 offensive line, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield. By the way, you still had Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. Prime got what? What? And you fumbled the bag on that? No names necessary. No names necessary. I love the fact, you know, as we talking about it, the thing that I got, he had some really nice things to say about Deshaun Watson. You know, we spoke and he talked about, look, Andrew Berry ain't guaranteed nobody nothing. Competition. He ain't guaranteed nobody nothing. And the thing that I think that really hit different was he calls him Mr. Berry. Now, this is Coach Prime. He says multiple times, a respect level. Mr. Berry. I think him and Mr. Haslam, and I'm always going to be they're going to have a special place with me because they gave my son an opportunity. He said he's going to come to Cleveland and fly and come in and meet with Todd Monken. And I think he said this. And I think he did a great job of showing. I mean, I'm going to just come talk to him about as coach to coach, as a father to a father and son. Like, you know, tell him, like, he's like, because there's some things, here's the things that I can tell you how to get the best out of them. Here's the things I could tell him, give him some insight to say, okay, this is how he learns, or this is how, and to get the best out of him. But at the end of the day, I also think he said, all right, but listen, I'm not interested in being a professional coach. I think a lot of this came from the fact that, hey, look, people thought I was here to take jobs. I love what I do. I want to win at Colorado. He made that be known as well. If you have not checked it, make sure you go check the entire interview. It's the interview is, I think it's about 45 minutes. He was gracious with his time, and go check that out. He had a lot in there for you guys to check out. So there's a lot of nuggets in there to give you some insight about Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders. All right, when we get back, I'm going to give you my biggest takeaway. And I think this is the thing that can maybe change the dynamic with the way we cover Shedeur Sanders and the way we've done it in the past and where we can get to moving forward. We'll come back and talk about it on the fastest 30 minutes of sports. Your boy G. Bush in the Ultimate Browns. Well, you already know. We already talking baseball. Listen, shout out to Bazana is up. The Lauder is up. The Cleveland Guard, Messick is balling. We got a lot of young energy. You know I'm all for the youth movement. And the Guardians is one of the best tickets in town. Make sure you're checking out the guides to the best tickets in town. Adam the Bull, Zach Meisel, and the Ultimate Guardians. They got you covered. Guardians in first place. They always seem to be in first place. Make sure you guys checking those guys out. Make sure you continue to support over there and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of their notifications in our updates. All right, welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in sports. It's your boy G. Bush right now on the Ultimate Browns. You thought I was going somewhere? Nah, but come on, man. I do this for a living. Preferably. We get a Coach Prime interview. We right back to the block. I'm back to the block with the hoodie on. What are you talking about? Like, we ain't going nowhere. We had to feed the streets, man. Ultimate Browns, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. Barbershop coming up tomorrow, 9 a.m. You know where to find me at. Let's go. Let's talk about the biggest takeaway in this. I got a clip to play from the interview yesterday, and this to me, I've always said this before, and the angle that I come out of a lot of the different stuff at is different. I don't think I would call myself a journalist. I wouldn't call myself a media member. I wouldn't call myself just a former athlete. I wouldn't call myself any of those things. I try to be a person who I would say is a storyteller. I tell stories. And so this clip right here, it'll help me tell the story that I think should come across the most. And the thing that I was most happy about with this interview, this is Coach Prime talking about the past and what went down in the draft and just the type of person he thinks and knows Shedeur Sanders to be. Make sure you guys check this out. And I think this is the takeaway. And I'll come back and give you that when we're on the other side. Ask you, I got one final thing before we get out of here to ask you. Given you've accomplished almost everything imaginable in life, 2 sports, Super Bowls, played in the World Series, endorsement deals, everything. At this stage in your life, when you watch your son step into his own journey, what matters more now to you? Is it the success or continuous success, or is it the impact that you look to have? Because you just mentioned about everybody that you touch in different places.
It's twofold. That's a great question, my brother. Number one is at Colorado, I want to win. I want to win it all. Like, it ain't no negotiations. It ain't no sidestepping. Like, that's my number one goal. Now, when it comes to my son, and I'm putting on my daddy hat, he has already surpassed me with influence. And sometimes he doesn't know how influential he is. He don't understand that he could walk in a room with anybody and they're going to know who he is. And demographically, from 8 years old all the way to my fans that may be 70, he has their eyes and ears, and they want him to succeed. Some want to see him fail, but either way, they want something. And he got it, man. Like he has an anointing on his life that he's a bona fide leader. He's always been, but he's a good person. Like his heart, talking too much, but I'm gonna tell you this because I love him. My kid who passed away, Dominic Ponder, recently in Colorado, and we had the processions probably about a month ago. You know, Shedeur calls the mother every day. You know, he takes the daughter who's a teenager to the mall every time he goes to Miami to shop and just give him love. But he talks to the mother every day. She told me that, not him. Because he don't even say stuff like that. He moves like his daddy. But his heart is unbelievable. That's why all the bull junk that was said a year ago, come on, man. And the bad thing about it, my brother, we kept quiet and we know where it came from.
Only in a way Prime can say. Only in a way Prime can do it. He said, we know where it came from, too. Man, listen, first of all, I want to say condolences to Dominic Ponder and his family, his mom, and everyone involved. That was a tragic story. And my takeaway from this thing is I can understand where we may have critiques. And critiques are critiques, right? If you think somebody can play, they can play. If you don't think they can play, we'll find out. That's what the great thing about sports is. Give it enough time, we'll find out who can play and who can't play. But I've always said this, and I've always been clear on this. The thing for me about Shedeur Sanders is there were things that were said, and sometimes continues to be said, about what his character is. And for me, that's not debatable. Character is what you do when there are no consequences and nobody are around and nobody's going to find out. Character is what you do in the dark. Character is about being a stand-up dude. When you make a mistake, you raise your hand and say, I made a mistake. Character is growth. Character is not doubling down. Character is not pivoting all the time and just filibustering. So the story he gave at the end was, to me, the most powerful thing he said, because, Shedeur Sanders didn't need to make that be known. He didn't even know that. Coach Prime didn't even know it. The young man's mother reached out to Coach Prime and told him that. And given the fact that where we are, and given the fact that, even being in a quarterback competition, the little small things, letting somebody from an inner city school, drive your car to Prime, calling a mother who lost their son just to know how deeply painful that is to a mother to lose a son. It's one of the most painful things in the world, to lose a child before you especially at a young age like that. And for him to do that, to consistently to continue to have a relationship with his family is something that shows a level of maturity and a level of him being a good person. So for me, the thing that I've came across with the most in this takeaway was, to me, Shedeur Sanders is exactly, if not even now, but more than what I thought about in terms of him as a human being. That came through. What came through is Coach Prime is honest. He was vulnerable. He came through and he shows he's just a father who loves his son and wants the best for him. The second thing that came through, there was no level of entitlement. There's no level of, we talk about all the conspiracy theories and all this stuff. Look, like, we can end a lot of these conspiracy theories about him being the most entitled guy in the room, the guy who's running around telling people, the guy who's running around with all this, hey, I'm disrespecting my authority figures. Because when you start to add it up and you continue to add it up from what we're talking about in terms of whether or not what his character is like, he was the same person that said, hey, even when Kevin Stefanski was still the coach, he said, you want me to say something bad about my coach? I think that's disrespectful. He's the same person that went to the projects and when it burned down and 2 people lost their lives and people lost everything, he pulled up and created an opportunity for those young kids to take their mind off something once in a while. He's the first person to go to schools and pull up and show up, and he is not even from here. So for me, the takeaway from this is, no matter what happened with football, hey, Shedeur Sanders, his career will tell you what his career is going to be based on what he does on the football field. The number one thing is always the number one thing. If he plays well, I'm going to tell you he played well. If he played bad, I'm going to tell you he played bad. But with the one thing that is not deniable, is undeniable from what I've seen and what I've been around and having a conversation with his father, I came away thinking that not only is Shedeur Sanders a good person, he might be a better person than I thought he was. And that's saying a lot, because I thought he was already a tremendous person inside and out, and his character is something that I would, if I had children, I would want my kids to aspire to have that level of maturity. He's not infallible, but he's a young man that strives to touch people's lives, to influence people in a positive way, and to be a positive role model on youth. So with that being said, that's my main takeaway. And I think the second takeaway is that Coach Prime is a respectful, God-fearing individual. And I think the thing he said about Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam shown through. He has tremendous respect for those individuals. And no matter what happens in the quarterback competition, he stated, I got respect, tremendous respect for Mr. Berry and Mr. Haslam, because they gave my son an opportunity. And all you do is ask for the opportunity. And what you do with the opportunity, it's up to you. So with that being said, we want to thank Coach Prime for having the interview. We want to thank each and everybody, person who watched the interview. Go check out the interview, subscribe to the channel. But we had to come on Ultimate Browns and give you that exclusive behind the scenes look. So we still do it. We still do it, man. And let me just tell you something out here really quick before we go. It's a lot of things that shown through in that interview. But the one thing that I want to make note of specifically on this platform is there's a lot of people who may feel like they don't understand if you understand what the game is. There's a level of professionalism that goes into everything that you do, whether that's what you say, what you do. I think there's a lot of people who may have thought that this interview would be about airing people out. This interview would be about receipts. This interview would be about airing grievances. This interview would be about doing victory laps. This interview would be about ego, selfishness. Look at me. What football has taught me is that you don't get anywhere by yourself. What football and sports has taught me at 3 levels, coming from my mother and father. First and foremost, you do nothing without God. He's the ultimate architect. The second thing is, when you are moving around and you get good things that happen to you, they don't happen in a vacuum. They happen because you are part of a team. You're a part of people that want to see you do well. You're a part of people that support you. So this interview for me was not a victory lap. The interview for me was an opportunity to be able to tell a story or give a side of the story. And if I say anything about journalism, I'll say this. There's certain things in journalism that you have to do and questions you have to ask. And there's a craft to doing that. I respect the way people have to interview people. I respect that. In preparation for this interview, I didn't go just think it up in my head. I had to actually go back and look at other people who are journalists, who did do interviews. What could I do and what could I ask? What could I say? So people think that I tear down the media and journalists all the time. That's not what it's about. I tear down and go at people that I think got shaky practices or shaky maneuvers. There's a difference. I respect the craft. I respect the craft at a high level at anybody that's doing it. So for me, this interview wasn't about G. Bush in the barbershop. This interview was about all those other people and all those people behind the scenes and all the people that I worked with and all of the people that I've ever did a show with. Way back on Locked On Browns, way back on the first part of UCSS, on the barbershop on 92.3 The Fan. I worked with every single one of these folks, individuals, from Peter Linda, Lima, to King Carmen, to Mary Kay, to Tony Grossi. I interned at ESPN Cleveland, to UCSS, to both my bosses, Andy Ross, all those good people. We did all those things, right? And all of those different experiences got me to where we are today. So I want to thank every single person who's ever done a show with me and has ever gave me any wisdom, knowledge, gain, or even pulled up. And most importantly, we thank the people. Because without you, there is no me. And the barbershop is the people, the people's champ. And it is the people, for the people, and by the people. And that will never change. With that being said, you never know when the G Bush might show up, radio, television, internet. But if you want the fresh cut on sports, yeah, I know I keep the Clippers with me. Have a great rest of your evening. And as always, you know what we about. Go Browns.